Whoever looks on this loses himself in eternity.
When Epcot opened back in 1983, half of the park was devoted to, and frankly funded by, countries wanting to make you come to their real locations and spend your dollars. It was a World's Fair in perpetuity. That vision has waned in recent years, with some sponsors pulling out and Disney Synergy moving in. The Frozen and Ratatouille rides are good examples. But one thing is sure, the China Pavilion did its job. I know because it convinced me to move to China for 5.5 years, so, yeah, well done, China. Wonders of China and its 2003 sequel, Reflections of China, are 360-degree movies that try to squeeze in a diverse 3.7 million square mile country in less than 20 minutes. China is big. The idea of cramming the entire country into a 19-minute film is laughable, let alone a 12-minute version like the sequel. So the directors had to make judicious choices. China had not had a solid tourism infrastructure for very long. The 20th century was a little rough in that country. Even today, your normal China tour is going to hit what Wonders of China and Reflections of China show. The Terracotta Warriors, Shanghai, Beijing, the Li River, and Hong Kong. And those are all great. But the film also slips in the giant Buddha of Lishan in rural Sichuan, a spectacular site which even when I went there about a dozen years ago wasn't particularly set up for international tourists. And the Harbin Ice Festival, which is spectacular family fun. But my hotel room received a nightly call to see if I wanted a nice Russian girl to come see to my needs. That doesn't really happen in Anaheim or Orlando. But the joy of the Harbin Ice Festival more than made up for the tackiness of the city's nascent tourist culture. Multi-story ice palaces with slides, snow cities with functioning restaurants inside, a river full of sleds and an icy skyway. Wonders and Reflections of China showcase these astounding landscapes, from rainforests to craggy mountains to the Gobi Desert. They also feature human wonders like both ends of the Great Wall, the giant Buddha mentioned earlier, the Nine-Dragon Screen, or at least one of the Nine-Dragon Screens, the canals of Suzhou, Westlake, and Hangzhou, and the Forbidden City, and cultural gifts like painting, calligraphy, opera, and China's incredibly diverse cuisine. Getting surrounded by all this can really sweep you off your feet.
A poem in every painting, and a painting in every poem.
Both versions of the film are narrated by an actor portraying Li Bai, one of the country's most important poets, and is one of the most accessible writers of medieval China.
Why do I live among the green mountains? I laugh and answer not. My soul is serene.
It's really beautiful stuff, and I hope that these theme park films have inspired more people than myself to explore Li Bai's work and Chinese poetry in general.
A wave of the hand now, and I am gone, lowering my head, I dream that I am home.
The film also quotes Su Xiake, whose After Seeing Huangshan will be quoted to you if you talk to any Chinese friend about visiting that peak.
After seeing the 5 sacred mountains, ordinary mountains are nothing. After seeing Huangshan, the 5 sacred mountains are nothing.
I mean, it's kind of insane for a theme park attraction to contain so much classical poetry. I thought that Huangshan was beautiful, but it's not a patch on other sites in China like Meishan or Zhangjiajie National Park, which has almost been spoiled by James Cameron basing his Avatar movies on its scenery, and by the world's biggest elevator going down a cliffside. Still, it is gobsmacking scenery, equaled almost nowhere else in the world. 360 movies now seem like a quaint relic, in a world where we can don 360 headsets instead. Virtual reality has become reality, and we want agency as well as immersion. But here's a secret. You have agency without the headsets. My wife and I ditched our careers and moved to China in order to see the stuff that Wonders and Reflections of China had shown. And once we were there, that simple 19-minute checklist looked like a joke compared to everything else there was to experience. Once you're there, it's actually not too difficult to navigate travel to the lesser-known areas of the country, and it's well worth it. We visited a first-century tomb in Gansu with unguarded frescoes showing the lifestyle of 2,000 years ago. Our group included 6 people, counting the guide. I mean, that's not going to last forever. I self-explored caves, waterfalls, and underground rivers in Guizhou. We spelunked with friends. We joined some folks we'd never met before in building their salmon hatchery. We got lost in the Gobi Desert on camels, and we ended up at a late-night desert rave barbecue with about 100 Chinese tourists. None of this would have happened except for Wonders of China. Although only a few years apart, Wonders of China and Reflections of China show how far the country had changed. The two films straddle China's opening up. Both films are willfully tone-deaf about Tiananmen Square, a place that for most Westerners has only one meaning. The first film has a quirky, optimistic declaration about the Forbidden City.
Since the declaration of the People's Republic, the Forbidden City is no longer forbidden.
Which is slightly toned down for the sequel, which pats itself on the back a bit less.
But today, all the world can pass through this gate.
Similarly, the movies are both awkward about minority groups. Wonders touts Tibet and its heavily Buddhist population, while Reflections drops Tibet entirely and celebrates the Uyghurs. And I suspect when a new version comes out, if it comes out, they drop the Uyghurs as well. The Yi people who staff the Shilin Stone Forest Park in Yunnan are name-checked in the first film. The second instead celebrates Yunnan's vast diversity of ethnic groups, which is really a better call. You could visit a market in western Yunnan and meet people from a dozen ethnicities who speak dozens of languages. Any tourist film is going to show off the best parts of your experience.
My mum's a bit like the Beijing government. When you go around, you only see the nice China.
Is a trip to the Philippines about how great the food and nature is, or how hot your wife looks? Well, no, sometimes you get sunstroke and spend several days in bed. That's life as a human. And exploring China means people being weird and racist, and some sleepless nights on a train, being woken up by blaring Michael Jackson because it's 7 a.m. and it's time for you all to be awake. I will be eternally grateful to those images of Lijiang, and being prodded into uncomfortable situations and the joy of the people that I met there. One thing Reflections of China has over the original Wonders, it concludes with a tribute to the people of China. Those people are beautiful. It would be hard to get your head around the diversity of this country, and I appreciate the makers of this film showcasing that. Obviously, with 1.3 billion people, a lot of those people are going to be stellar, but it warms my heart to have a major Disney attraction showcasing that. The diversity, the love, and just a glimpse of a very beautiful, deep culture.